I do feel like our generation now is more cognizant and aware and acknowledging these racial inequalities and injustices. And so that's very hopeful. And there's a number of things that ordinary people can do. And number one, from a psychological perspective, I encourage people to not turn away. So I think this is, working in mental health and from the framework that I do from cognitive behavioral therapy. I know that people just naturally, when we see something that's painful or uncomfortable, we just naturally want to avoid that thing. And I think, or I know that avoidance, it leads to more pain, more hurt, and, things not being resolved. So I encourage everybody, don't avoid the pain, walk with us, walk a mile in our moccasins, and really try to understand and empathize what our experiences are as Indigenous people. So don't avoid. My other small suggestions just for individuals is offer condolences. These are, events that are tragic, and for many Indigenous people, there's a grief response. We have Indigenous values of interconnectedness and community. And so it would be really respectful to offer condolences, to go to a local residential school and, drop off flowers or partake in the ceremonies or, the memorials that are happening there. And then other things, there's a lot, as I mentioned, of racial and other disparities that are across First Nations, between First Nations and or Indigenous people and Canadians. Do your part if you can. Talk to your local MP. Try to advocate for things like clean water or other things that you see, that are a priority within your local Indigenous communities. And then there's other things. So June is National Indigenous History Month. So, celebrate Indigenous history, share, take part in social media to celebrate our history, celebrate our victories, to, celebrate famous Indigenous people, but also to not be afraid to hear truth. And I think that works into our truth and reconciliation calls to action. Read those through, know what they are, know how they apply to you as a person, but also within the organization that you work. I know even for us at Qualia Counseling Services, we're still, trying to figure out how do we prioritize our response to truth and reconciliation calls to action. So these are all things, small, simple things that we can do.